Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events. We've got two main stories intersecting here, one involving the United States and Iran, and another that touches on global events and how they're unfolding. Let's start with the US-Iran situation. Reports have been emerging about the tensions between these two nations, with discussions around potential conflicts and diplomatic efforts to ease those tensions. At the same time, we're seeing movements in other parts of the world that could impact global stability and international relations. From heat waves in the Korean Peninsula to shifts in political recognition for governments like Venezuela's, it seems like every region has its own significant story to tell right now. The situation with Iran is particularly noteworthy, given the historical context and the current geopolitical landscape. With leaders from both sides engaging in diplomatic talks, there's a sense of cautious optimism about the potential for resolving long-standing issues. However, as with any international negotiation, there are many factors at play, and outcomes are never certain. On another front, the normalization of relations between the Dominican Republic and Venezuela marks an interesting turn in regional politics. This shift could signal broader changes in how countries view and interact with each other, especially in the context of economic cooperation and political recognition. As we navigate these complex stories, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives and the historical backdrop against which they're unfolding. The world is interconnected, and events in one part of the globe can have far-reaching implications elsewhere. We'll continue to monitor these developments and bring you updates as more information becomes available. For now, let's take a break and come back with a fresh look at some of these stories and perhaps some new ones that are emerging. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the complex and ever-evolving situation involving Iran and the United States. Recent reports have surfaced that the Pentagon is seeking creative ideas from its analysts on how to navigate the ongoing conflict with Iran. This development comes as the Trump administration faces increasing pressure to find a resolution, with some critics arguing that the current approach is not yielding the desired results. According to CNN, a senior Pentagon official sent an email to a broad group of military analysts asking for new ideas on how to pressure and punish Iran. The email has been characterized by some as a sign of desperation within the administration, while others see it as a natural part of the strategic planning process. It's worth noting that the conflict with Iran is multifaceted, involving issues such as nuclear proliferation, regional security, and economic sanctions. Any potential solution will likely require a nuanced and coordinated approach, taking into account the perspectives and interests of multiple stakeholders. The Trump administration has been criticized for its handling of the situation, with some arguing that the current strategy is overly reliant on military force and not enough emphasis is being placed on diplomatic efforts. However, others argue that the administration's tough stance is necessary to counter Iran's aggressive behavior in the region. As the situation continues to unfold, it will be important to monitor developments and consider a range of perspectives. The Pentagon's call for creative ideas may be seen as a positive step towards finding innovative solutions, but it also highlights the complexity and challenges inherent in this conflict. The United States and Iran have a long and complicated history, and finding a way forward will require careful consideration of the historical context as well as the current geopolitical landscape. As we continue to follow this story, we'll be looking for updates on any potential breakthroughs or setbacks and examining the implications for regional and global stability. Welcome back to the Concrete Block. The Iran war has sent shockwaves through the global energy market, and it's having a ripple effect on consumers nationwide. As we've been following this story, diesel prices in California have jumped significantly since the conflict began, with the average price per gallon now standing at $6.92. This is not only affecting truckers and transportation companies, but also having a trickle-down effect on the prices of everyday products. Experts warn that the refining challenge is far from over, with the world currently short about 8% of global diesel demand. This shortage is being felt across the country as nearly 1/3 of container ship imports and exports travel through the San Pedro Bay port complex in California. The situation is further complicated by California's strict environmental regulations and lack of major fuel pipelines connecting it to other parts of the U.S. As a result, the state's fossil fuel industry has shrunk over the years, leading to higher prices at the pump. It's essential to note that these price increases are not just limited to California, they're having a broader impact on the national economy. As J.P. Morgan analysts pointed out, a significant share of America's supply chain pays West Coast fuel prices, which influence freight costs, transportation margins, and ultimately the delivered cost of goods nationwide. As we continue to monitor this situation, it's crucial to consider the complexities of the global energy market and the far-reaching consequences of geopolitical events. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.